party head units like wahoo.
Like wahoo. Oh god. It's not relevant to the video, but hey guys, welcome to another video. Jesse Coyle here, and I'm going to be looking at GCN's recent video on the Supersapiens constant blood glucose monitors. I'm going to be watching the video with you, pausing, giving my comments on some of the claims they're making. So first thing, just before we get started, is that the science around constant blood glucose monitors is still emerging. Nothing is really proven yet. So I'm going to go through, and if they say something that I think is just BS, I'll call it out. If they say something that I think might have some merit, I'll also call it out as we go, so we can get an understanding of where these sensors are in terms of usefulness at the moment. So let's get into the video.
Sport biosensor, a small patch which is stuck just to the back of your upper arm. Now that patch contains a thin, flexible filament which inserts itself just below the skin.
Yeah, so the sensors they're talking about there is actually just this sensor here. They've been around for a while, diabetics have used them, so you can, if you're interested in buying this because the Supersapiens aren't available globally yet, you can, in most countries, buy the Freestyle Libre sensor on its own. So this one sensor costs $92. You can just stick it in your arm and it connects to the Freestyle app and monitor your blood glucose levels. This is the diabetic version for diabetics. The sport version, which Supersapiens use, has a higher frequency. So I think it samples your blood glucose once a minute. And I think this one for the general population only samples once every 5 minutes. So lower frequency, but if you are interested in just monitoring your blood glucose levels, you can do that now if you would like.
When fitted, the sensor analyzes the interstitial fluid which surrounds the cells of the tissues below your skin, allowing glucose levels to be monitored in real time 24/7. Now, each sensor costs €65 or £57 sterling if bought as part of a monthly subscription package.
Yeah, so let's do a quick price there. So he said €65. So he's saying the sport sensors cost $100, and then I'm on the Freestyle. If I was buying the sensor, the non-sport version is $92. So I mean, the pricing's pretty fair. I think it's not. Sometimes these products go on the market and they just quadruple the price and try and smash a massive profit out of it. I think the pricing's pretty fair. To be honest, it's obviously still expensive, but the actual sensor is a really impressive piece of tech. So they're not overcharging the price too much, in my opinion.
The biosensor transfers all glucose data to an app on your phone. Those with Garmin can relay that data to their device so they can see on screen their blood glucose levels in the same way they could as their power and heart rate data. There's also said to be integrations with other third-party head units like wahoo.
Like wahoo. Oh god. It's not relevant to the video, but yeah, that's not how you say that, Brian.
See that glucose data as you're riding in real time. Now, Supersapiens themselves are said to be releasing a wristband. So whatever option you go for, you can constantly keep your blood glucose levels visible. Those with diabetes watching this will already know this is a very useful tool. Indeed, this is life-changing tech for those suffering with the condition.
Yeah, exactly. So the sensors have been around for quite a while now. You've been able to buy them if you're interested in using it as sort of in the general population as a diabetic. So.
But in terms of performance, why is it so valuable to see your glucose levels in real time? Why have the likes of Ineos, Jumbo Visma, Canyon SRAM, Anna van der Breggen all jumped on this tech for their training from the get-go?
Because those teams are partnered with Supersapiens, they're sponsored. So Ineos, and they have partnerships with Supersapiens, so they're using it because they're a sponsor. I'm not saying they're not getting some sort of value out of it, but again, they're using these words of these incredible insights and why is it so powerful. So they're leading you without actually proving how it is valuable. So yeah, I'm not really a fan of that sort of wording, but again, this is an ad, so yeah.
Well, to explain, it's time for a bit of GCN does science. Sorry, scientist coming, I'm late, sorry, scientist on his way. Here's the wheelie for the lateness. Woohoo! Anyway, when we eat carbohydrates, they are broken down in the body to glucose and fructose, then passed into the bloodstream and...
Not all carbohydrates are broken down into fructose. If it's just a glucose, it's just a maltodextrin drink, you're not producing fructose out of it. So Anyway.
Shuttled around the body to where they're needed most. Our vital organs and our muscles. Lots of them, of course. Whew. Therefore, when we eat, our blood glucose levels spike. If we don't need this excess energy, then a hormone is released, insulin. Now this helps to store that excess glucose in the muscles and liver, our body's fuel tank, so to speak. If our blood glucose levels drop, our liver can release glucose back into the blood to be used by the muscles. When we ride our bikes, our bodies perform a careful balancing act to maintain our blood glucose levels in an optimal range. The problem is, it can only work with what's provided.
So that is true, and that's a good point. Your body has an optimal blood sugar range, and that's managed by insulin, by glucagon, these hormones that act in the body to keep your blood sugar stable. So you can have a look, the sensor provides a look into that, but your body has really good mechanisms at maintaining that. So keep that in mind as we get further into the video, is that your body is designed to try and keep that stable, and unless you're insulin resistant or diabetic, that function works very well.
All hit the wall at one point or another, but now, thanks to Supersapiens, we can see our blood glucose levels measured in milligrams per deciliter. For context, most people have a glucose in the range of 70 to 180 milligrams per deciliter, depending on the time of the day. So now we can see how our glucose is changing throughout the day, when it's spiking, when it's plateauing, but most importantly, when it's dropping. Supersapiens say no more guesswork, no more stabs in the dark. This is full insight into the inner workings of our body when we push ourselves to our limits.
So the thing with that, yes, it's an insight into your blood glucose level, but blood glucose isn't the fuel tank. So I think if they're using this as sort of like a fuel tank analogy, where you've got your body's the car and then your blood glucose is the fuel going in, it's not really true. And when you're exercising, there's a whole system of energy pathways that are providing energy. So you've got fat, you've also got muscle glycogen, and then even with fat, you've got fat in the muscles, you've got triglycerides in the blood. So there's if the human body was a car, you'd have all these pumps going in, pumping in different types of fuel, of which blood glucose is just one of them. So to say that you're getting this entire picture of your body, it's not really true. You're getting a look into one pathway of providing energy when you're exercising throughout the day. It's not a global picture.
Essentially, this is what seems to have caused the UCI to get so scared and ban its use in competition. Worried that it will cause more F1 style racing. Their words, not mine.
Again, that's not... The UCI bans heaps of stuff. The UCI see they're very traditional, they're not up to date, so they see a new technology like this coming in, where people are sticking stuff into their arm and monitoring body levels of something. They kind of get scared. It's very technological, so they think, in terms of the UCI, they probably just think, okay, let's just ban it and not have to then deal with it later on when people are getting benefits out of it. So I don't think we can read too much into that. Hey guys, I'm midway through editing the Supersapiens video, and just a quick message to say that if you're enjoying the video and you're this far in, I'd appreciate a like and a subscribe to the channel, and possibly even send it to a friend who might be interested, so we can get the channel growing and get more people getting this information. So thanks again, and enjoy the rest of the video.
Mick Rogers, the UCI's tech in. Now, whether you agree with that or not, pros will have to stay in the dark regarding their glucose levels during races. Features that you can make the most of aside. You can still use it during training. We can use it whenever we want, and there's plenty of features that you can make the most of aside from racing. How we respond to certain foods is a big one here. Use Supersapiens for long enough and you have collected a
Alright, so now they're getting into how can we actually use it, so let's see what they say here.
whole heap of data viewable on their app. Here you can see your blood glucose levels across a whole time frame. You can note your meal times and also when you were riding. As a result, you can easily see the impact this has on your blood glucose levels and therefore observe how you respond to certain foods. Is that banana you eat for a snack?
Okay, so, I mean, the app looks really good. They've done an impressive job making the app have all the graphs, and it looks really good. And there is a lot of data coming in. That sensor's measuring blood glucose, I think, once a minute. So there's a crap ton of data going into there if you're wearing that for weeks and weeks and weeks. So that's true. There's a lot of information to process through.
Really the best option. Does give you a huge spike in blood glucose and a subsequent crash later on. Actually, I found when using Supersapiens that potatoes gave me my biggest spike in blood glucose, which was something I wasn't really expecting, to be honest. Either way, all this information gives you the knowledge to change your diet for the better, allowing you to feel more energized throughout the day.
Maybe. I mean, I can kind of see where they're coming from, but the thing is, people don't just eat, most people, especially athletes, don't just eat single foods. If they're having a healthy, balanced diet, they're having carbohydrates, proteins, fats, all together in a meal. So the GI, I mean, if you're eating just bananas or just bags of lollies all at one time, then yeah, you're going to get massive blood sugar spikes. But you're probably not going to be using, if you're doing that, you're probably not going to be using a blood glucose monitor anyway. So I'm not sure. I kind of see what they're saying, but I'm still not really gathering if that's going to be useful to the average person who's eating a healthy, balanced diet already. So I'm not really giving them points for that.
Glucose variability is a function within the app which allows you to analyse your data and see how much your blood glucose peaks and troughs. The thought is that you can use this to make an informed decision about learning what to eat and when to create a more sustainable and stable energy supply.
Again, another one. So you've got that blood sugar spike and dip and spike and dip. That's regulated by your body through those hormones. So that's, your body does a good job of regulating that. And I guess they're saying there you might want to smooth that out. Sorry, my camera battery just died, so we're going to have to go with the screen recording here. What I was going to say was there's a good article in Outside Plus magazine that sort of broke down the sensor. And one of the things that the author was saying was that before an event, what some athletes might do is have a high GI meal, let's say 45 to 30 minutes before the start of an event. They might have, let's say, banana and some lollies. That'll cause a blood sugar spike. Insulin comes in, drops the blood sugar down, and then they get this dip actually before their event. So they're not actually getting the benefit from that. So what this could sort of allow you to do is track that and then perhaps save that high GI meal for just sort of 5 minutes before the start of your event. So you're not getting that insulin release and then dip when you actually want to have your blood sugar levels high. So some sort of insights into things like that, I could see some value in there.
Supersapiens also helps you understand your average glucose levels and your total daily glucose exposure. Now, this is useful if you want to carbo load in the build up to a big event, for example, or perhaps you want to sustainably lose weight and reduce your glucose levels by 5 to 10 milligrams per deciliter to the usual.
Okay, two things there which I got problems with. So they're saying there you can, firstly for carb loading, you can use the sensor to monitor your glucose levels and try and optimize your carb loading. But we have very good, proven, science-backed protocols for carb loading. We know how many grams of carbs we need to eat per day. We know how many days we need to do it for. So carb loading isn't difficult. If you just take the right advice, it is quite simple. So I'm not sure whether using the sensor to inform that is really of much use, because we can already do that really easily. Second thing here, which I think is kind of dangerous, they're saying if you want to lose weight, you might look at trying to drop your blood sugar level by 5 to 10 units, which I'm struggling to understand. Your body regulates that, and that's a form of energy provided to all your organs around the body. So I'm not... Losing weight is a matter of calories. So the thought that someone's going to try and lose weight, so they're going to go buy this sensor and then try and drop their blood sugar, I think is really dangerous and is just completely backwards. So I just have there's so many things that are just wrong with that. So please, that is not a claim that I would recommend someone buy the sensor for. Just odd, really odd.
Understanding your glucose performance zone is a key part to this tech. So the idea is that you go out and you do a 30-minute max effort when fresh. Afterwards, you analyse your glucose levels, see where they were sitting throughout that effort intensity, and then for subsequent efforts, you can try and keep your blood glucose levels in the same range, making sure you can make the most out of your body's performance by fueling correctly.
There could be some merit in that, finding where you where you optimally perform in terms of blood glucose levels. But again, remember when you're exercising, there's all these different pathways that are providing energy in your muscles, of which blood glucose is just one. So it's not that black and white. And also some of the science on this, they found athletes can get big dips in their blood glucose when they're exercising and not see any ill effects from it. There's some individual variation there. So they're trying to make this sound quite simple. Like, yeah, you just have your optimal zone and you just stick in that. But that's not really how it works, and the science on it isn't that conclusive yet. So we're not quite there yet, but there could be something in this maybe in a few years down the track when there's some more validity to how it all works.
Instead of trying to second guess your body and replace carbs when you think you should, maybe going off conventional wisdom, now you have the power to track your glucose levels in real time, keeping yourself in that golden performance zone where you perform best. Trending down and out of that zone, time to top up, get some food in before it's too late.
Another one, I feel like this is just an overcomplication for most people. We know fueling targets are pretty well established. If you're doing intense exercise, you actually can't keep up with your energy demands on longer, harder rides. So it's actually more a matter of how much can you take in and finding foods to support that upper limit for yourself. So I'm not sure. For someone who's going to invest that much in a constant blood glucose monitor like this, they probably already know how to fuel their body correctly and sufficiently. So again, I think this is just an overcomplication for most people.
The key point is that everybody's bodies are different when it comes to nutrition. Do you perform best when you consume 60, 90, 120, or even upwards of 140 grams of carbohydrates per hour?
Whew, 140 grams, I don't think I've ever done that. That's right up there.
Can you maximise your performance if you manage to bump up your blood glucose levels from 120 to 140 milligrams per deciliter? These are the sort of questions that the
He's kind of answered his own question there because he said every individual is different, has different nutrition needs. But then at the same time, everyone's blood glucose profile is different, and it responds differently during exercise, and that's what's not established in the science yet. So I'm not saying we won't have some actionable advice to take from blood glucose levels in the future, but at the moment the science just isn't there around what's your blood glucose level doing and how can you make changes to impact that to improve your performance. So he's answered that there and saying that every individual is different, which is sort of the problem with it.
The Supersapiens system can help answer. And that is how best to think of this little sensor. Like power and heart rate, it won't ride our bikes for us, but it is a tool which will help us to answer questions which we may have found hard to decipher.
See, I say no. I think this is, for most people, if they buy this, it's just going to bring up more questions than it answers. And I think this is going to do more, at the moment, given the science and the research on it, and how inconclusive it is, it's just going to make life harder if you buy it, in my opinion. Now, could be proven wrong if you've got one and you've found it useful or interested to hear how it's gone, but from my understanding at the moment, I wouldn't really be recommending that anyone goes out and buys this sensor just yet, because it's probably just going to make you more confused and overcomplicate various processes such as carb loading and fueling that are actually quite simple to do if you take the right advice. So that is my summary on the Supersapiens. Thanks for watching this video, and I'll catch you next time.